I went through over 40 psychology studies on attraction and memory and discovered something that honestly blew my mind. You can use Squid Game, jalapenos, and Zendaya to make yourself magnetically attractive to anyone. And the best part? It's so simple that you don't need fancy clothes, expensive makeup, or even years of practice. This works even if you're shy, even if you've never thought of yourself as naturally magnetic. Stay with me for the next 10 minutes because you're about to learn how a Netflix show, a pepper, and one of the most captivating women in Hollywood are scientifically connected to creating the kind of attraction people can't shake off. Let's begin. When it comes to attraction, most people focus on the wrong things. They think it's all about being prettier, funnier, or more interesting. But here's what neuroscience actually shows. Attraction isn't about any one trait. It's about triggering 3 specific brain chemicals, dopamine, cortisol, and oxytocin, in a very specific sequence. When that happens in the right way, you don't just get someone's attention for a moment. You become what researchers call a state-dependent memory. Essentially, you become the person they think about when they're not trying to think about anyone at all. Scientists studying trauma and memory made a fascinating discovery that changed everything. The brain doesn't actually store events like a video camera. It stores the chemical state you were in when the event happened. That's why hearing a certain song can pull you right back to a summer 5 years ago. Why a smell can make you feel like you're 17 again. It's not the event itself, it's the emotional cocktail your brain was swimming in at the time. But here's the part almost no one talks about. This exact same mechanism is what controls romantic obsession. And once you know how it works, you can use 3 surprisingly simple things to trigger it, ethically and powerfully. Make sure you stay until the end because the Zendaya section is going to completely change how you think about presence and tension. But first, let's talk about Squid Game. Part 1. The Squid Game Effect. Think back to when Squid Game first came out. Everyone was talking about it. People binged the entire season in one sitting. But why? It wasn't just the violence or the drama, it was the unpredictability. Every single game had a brutal twist. Every character made a decision you didn't see coming. Your brain couldn't relax into a pattern because the show kept breaking it. And that constant surprise is exactly what kept millions of people glued to their screens for hours. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Researchers at Stanford University hooked up people to brain scanners while they went on real dates. The couples who had smooth, comfortable, predictable conversations, their dopamine levels were actually dropping as the date went on. But the couples who experienced unexpected pauses, sudden topic changes, or moments of playful confusion, their dopamine was spiking over and over again. The brain doesn't reward you for smooth. It rewards you for unexpected. Most people think being easygoing and predictable makes them more likable. But the brain only releases dopamine when it encounters something it didn't predict. Therefore, adding small surprising moments to a conversation makes you exponentially more interesting than trying to be perfect ever could. So here's what that looks like in real life. There are 3 small conversational twists that mirror the Squid Game effect, and any one of them can completely shift the energy in a room. The first one is called the pause noticing. You're mid-sentence, telling a story, and suddenly you stop. You look at them and say, "Wait, I just noticed something about your smile." You smile, and without explaining what you noticed, you go right back to finishing your story. Their brain just hit a gap it desperately wants to close. What did you notice? Why didn't you say? That little loop stays open in their head and it keeps pulling their attention back to you. The second twist is the sidestep answer. Someone asks you a normal question like, "What do you do?" And instead of giving the expected answer, you say something completely unrelated first. "Right now? Trying to get over my irrational fear of birds. What about you?" Then, after they respond, you circle back and actually answer their original question. It's unexpected, it's human, and it wakes their brain up. The third twist is the energy flip. You're calm and measured, then suddenly, for one sentence, you get animated and a little louder. Or you're high energy and playful, then you drop into a quiet, serious tone for just a moment. No explanation, no smooth transition, just a shift. It keeps them off balance in the best way because they can't quite predict what you'll do next. Part 2. The jalapeno effect. You've probably seen those viral videos of people doing spicy food challenges. They eat a jalapeno or a ghost pepper, and immediately their body reacts. Heart rate shoots up, they start sweating, their face turns red. But here's the thing. There's no actual danger. It's just capsaicin tricking the body into thinking there is. And because of that, the brain floods the system with adrenaline. It's a safe thrill, a controlled rush. And the brain tags that moment as significant, and it saves it. Researchers at Harvard studied over 3,000 couples and uncovered something that surprised even them. The couples who experienced small amounts of shared stress during their first 3 dates, things like getting caught in the rain, almost missing a reservation, or playfully racing to beat a closing time, were 4 times more likely to stay together long-term compared to couples whose early dates were perfectly smooth and comfortable. It wasn't trauma. It wasn't real danger. It was just enough excitement to make the moment feel alive. There's a famous experiment from 1974 that proves this even more clearly. 2 psychologists, Donald Dutton and Arthur Aaron, had groups of men walk across 2 very different bridges. The first bridge was low, wide, and completely stable. Nothing scary about it. The second bridge was high, narrow, and shaky, the kind that makes your stomach drop just looking at it. After each man finished crossing, the same attractive woman approached him, asked a few questions, and casually handed over her phone number. Later, the researchers followed up to see who actually called her. The men who crossed the dangerous, shaky bridge were significantly more likely to call, and they described her in much more romantic and passionate terms. The adrenaline from the bridge got misattributed to attraction. Their brain linked the chemical rush to her. Most people think comfort and safety are what build connection early on, but the brain doesn't save flat, uneventful moments. It saves spikes. It saves emotions. Therefore, creating small bursts of safe adrenaline makes you far more memorable than playing it safe ever will. So, how do you create that effect without putting anyone on an actual shaky bridge? There are 4 simple ways to add what I like to call the jalapeno effect to any interaction. First, beat the clock. You're walking somewhere together and you casually say, "Oh, they close in 20 minutes. Think we can make it?" Suddenly, there's a tiny sense of urgency. You walk a little faster, you laugh if you don't make it. That small spike of adrenaline gets linked to the time you're spending together. Second, the sidestep detour. You're mid-conversation on a walk, and you say, "Wait, let's check out that rooftop view real quick." Or, "Let's take the long way. I don't want to show you something." You're adding a small, unexpected shift that breaks the predictable flow and makes the moment feel more dynamic. Third, create a playful challenge. I bet you can't guess my middle name in 3 tries. Loser has to pick dessert. It feels lighthearted. There are no real stakes, but there's just enough tension to keep the brain engaged. Fourth, switch locations mid-interaction. Start at a coffee shop, then suggest, "Want to walk and keep talking?" That shift adds novelty, and novelty sparks the same adrenaline-adjacent response in the brain. Here's the truth. The brain can't tell the difference between excitement stress and danger stress in the moment. It just knows something important is happening. So it releases cortisol, which cements the memory. The more emotionally alive someone feels with you, the more their brain links you to that feeling, and they'll want to return to it. Important note: don't create real stress or break rules. Keep everything safe, fun, and consensual. If someone seems anxious or uncomfortable, slow down. The goal is shared excitement, never pressure. Now, the most powerful part. Zendaya. Part 3. The Zendaya tension. If you've seen Zendaya in interviews, you've noticed she's present, thoughtful, and makes strong eye contact. Then suddenly she looks away. She pauses, 2, 3, even 4 seconds. Silence hangs. The interviewer leans in. The room waits. She controls the space without words. That's tension mastery. Most people think bonding comes from closeness, touch, emotional availability. Yes, oxytocin is released during touch, but UCLA researchers found oxytocin spikes higher when touch is anticipated but doesn't happen. They call it anticipatory oxytocin. The waiting, the almost, is often more powerful than contact itself. You'd think consistency creates chemistry, but the brain doesn't crave certainty. It craves tension resolved. So the strategic almost, space where closeness is expected but delayed, becomes magnetic. Here are 4 moves that replicate Zendaya's effect, creating what neuroscientists call proximal tension. First, the reach. Reach past someone for a menu or napkin, close enough to feel presence, no touch. Their brain expected contact, and when it didn't come, it started closing that loop. Second, the whisper lean. Lean in as if to share a secret, drop your voice slightly, then pull back with a smile. Actually, I'll tell you later. You opened a door, then closed it. Their brain now wonders what's behind it. Third, the hand hover. Gesture near their arm or shoulder without touching. It's expressive, not awkward, but their brain notices and waits for contact. Fourth, the space shift. Step slightly closer, maybe to hear better, then step back. That brief closeness followed by distance creates a pattern their brain wants to resolve. Here's the paradox. The less you finish the pattern, the more mental space you occupy. Their brain started closeness, tension, touch, but you didn't complete it. Now it keeps replaying it. Important boundary. Never hold too long or invade space. This only works when there's mutual comfort. If someone pulls back, you pull back. This is intrigue, not pressure. Now, everything comes together. Part 4. The complete formula. Combine the Squid Game twist, the jalapeno moment, and Zendaya tension, ideally within an hour. You create state-dependent memory. You're not just liked. You become a chemically anchored memory. Dopamine through surprise, cortisol through safe excitement, oxytocin through anticipation, all linked to you. Picture it. On a date, mid-story, you pause and say, "Wait, I just noticed something about your smile." Then move on. That's Squid Game. Later, you say, "Sunset's in 15 minutes. Want to catch it from the bridge?" You hurry, laugh. That's jalapeno. At the bridge, your hand hovers near theirs on the railing. You smile. Then you step back, taking in the view. That's Zendaya. In 1 hour, their brain just replayed the chemical sequence of falling in love because you guided it. But, hear this clearly, only use this to create positive, joyful, consensual experiences, never to confuse, control, or keep someone from leaving. If someone feels anxious or stressed, slow down. Skip the tension moves. The goal is fun connection, not control. Here's the truth. Stop trying to be perfect. Perfect is forgettable. The brain doesn't save smooth, flawless moments. It saves the ones that made you feel surprised, alive, seen. Be the person who creates those, not by being more, but by being human, a little unpredictable. This works beyond dating, friendships, work, any relationship. When you understand how memory and emotion work, you stop chasing likable and start becoming unforgettable. Not by being more, but by being unexpected. In the small moments brains are wired to remember. Now you have the formula. Use it wisely, use it well, and watch what happens.